joined me in the little village of Kimber, just outside Stairbridge, not far from the M5, to meet up with Hayley Pepler, a creative director, writer and producer.
So my name's Hayley Pepler. I'm a writer, director and executive producer working predominantly out of the West Midlands across all broadcast channels and also online platforms as well.
Nice to meet you. And what is your educational background?
So my educational background is that I went to a local primary school here in the West Midlands, and I went to a state comprehensive school. I did GCSEs, and then I went to a local college called King Edward's College in Stourbridge, and I did A-levels there. And after my A-levels I went to university. I went to Cardiff University and studied English and creative writing, and I stayed there for 3 years and loved it so much that I carried on living in Cardiff for another few years, and that's where I started my experience and my work career in television production after that. So, but having started my career in TV production, and consistently over the last few years, I've also gone back to education a number of times. So I've now got a couple of postgraduate film academy. I studied a screenwriting diploma there. I studied a master's in writing for television at De Montfort University. I've also studied some other kind of subjects as well, like Arts in Health Practitioner Certificate, which means that I'm able to apply filmmaking and creative writing skills in healthcare settings. So I've consistently gone back to education just because I love learning, and I think that you make yourself a better, more rounded filmmaker if you're interested in learning and if you're interested in people. That's kind of my education background.
As a successful female writer, director, producer, do you believe it's harder to progress from an educational setting to a professional one as a woman versus being a man?
I think that if you're passionate about what you do, if you're clear about what your voice is, if you're clear about what you want to say to the world, and you're clear about where you've come from and what you can bring, in an ideal world, it shouldn't really be relevant whether or not, whatever gender you are, or however you choose to identify. Unfortunately, we live in a world which has a huge historical context to the way in which productions have been developed over the years. And we're challenging that, and we're working towards a fairer framework for allowing all voices to be heard. I can't say that we're there yet, but we're definitely travelling in the right direction. And I think that as a woman, you should not be frightened of entering into a production and being who you are, being authentic, giving whatever you want to give to that production, and being unapologetic about that. And that shouldn't matter if you're, whatever way you choose to identify. So I would like to think that we can move to a space in a few years' time where these questions are kind of questions that live in a kind of historical context, as opposed to, is it relevant now? So my advice to women trying to enter the industry now is just be unafraid, be completely unafraid to be who you are, and you can achieve great things.
If you had the power to make one change to the production industry, to make it more fair playing ground for both genders, what would it be?
If I could make one change to the production industry that would benefit all forms of lived experience being offered a fairer opportunity to further their careers, I think there is definitely some work to do within the way in which writers are commissioned and get work to the screen. It takes an awful long time to establish yourself as a writer, if you ever do. And there is a lot of opinions that are circulated around scripts and the quality of scripts that mean that dramas are that cost a lot of money to make, production companies might choose to, I'm not saying it always happens, but they might choose to rely on writers that they know can deliver the goods. So there's not an awful lot of experimentation offering new writers opportunities to really flourish, and there certainly isn't a training ground for that. There isn't a kind of apprenticeship scheme that you can follow for that. And I think if we could try and broaden that apprenticeship route for writers, it's starting to happen a bit, but if we could do something around creating that apprenticeship route for writers from all forms of lived experience to have a shot at writing a drama and seeing it through to production, we would see an explosion of creativity on screen that would ultimately benefit all audiences.